Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Can you all hear me and see me well? Let me know. Amazing. Hello. Hello. We have some really cool things that we're going to cover with you all today. Michael has been busy with some very fun AI things in the background that we're going to play with today. Um, and let me just make sure my microphone is actually near me so you can hear me properly. So, what we're going to today is going to be quite straightforward. We're going to cover a couple things around setting goals for 2026. Um, I've always really struggled with goal setting. I've hated it so much, and it always ended up being this arbitrary planning thing that never went anywhere until I figured out how to break them down properly into weekly and daily actions that actually were connected to something versus like coming up with stuff out of thin air. So we're going to walk you through that. Michael is excellent at that. He's helped me get my shit together with this. So he's going to lead that part. Um, so you guys are we're gonna do that together. And we're gonna cover a couple of things that are really critical because there's a lot of things happening in 2026. Sorry, I just had some Ferrero Rocher and it's getting the nuts are getting caught in my throat. Um, we're going to cover a couple things around 2026 and the things that we're seeing, that how we're adjusting our marketing, our business model, our systems, our processes. That we just want to give you guys that head start as well. And I want you all to leave today knowing here's actually what I should be doing kind of on a weekly, daily basis, getting granular so that you can start 2026 super clear. Michael, did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I think we're all
Okay.
set, and I'm actually very excited to help people to plan for this year. I think it's in one of your slides, but we need to make sure that we hit the floor running in 2026, and we can only do that if we're aware of where we want to journey to, what the most important steps on that journey are. But I don't want to say too much because otherwise I'm stealing Maggie's thunder.
No, that's okay. I also started creating all these slides for you guys, and then I realized I don't think that's super helpful for you. We're just going to also use the flip chart to go through some stuff. Let me just pause for a second. Let me just figure out the gallery view here because this is being a bit weird. I'll just do it this way. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. We'll go through a couple slides. You guys, as I'm going through, do pay attention. Don't be writing emails at the same time, and we'll keep this interactive. We'll do some start with stuff with the flip chart and with Michael's AI thingy in a second. Cool. Can you all see my screen okay? Yeah, all right. So we're just gonna go over a couple of the core principles of building your 2026 revenue engine. I don't know about you, but 2025 has been quite a year for a lot of people. There's been a lot of changes that have happened, personal, life, business, AI, industry-wide. I've also heard a lot of really negative chatter this year in the online space, probably second only to what was happening kind of COVID wise in terms of negativity, and that can impact a lot of things. Has anyone else felt that way as well? Yeah, okay, cool. So it's not just my observation. Um, so I want to make sure that you guys are set up for success 2026 and beyond, that you know what to kind of carry with you and you know what you should be focusing on so that you have predictability. All right, so that you know no matter what happens, hey, I have a plan. And even if my content isn't landing as well, or even if things are just not like I didn't hit a home run with my last workshop, it's okay because it's part of a bigger ecosystem. And even if I have a dip here, overall, I'm going up. Making sense? Okay, cool. Um, so I think a lot of people, again, I just want you guys to know to tell me if I am way off base here or if you resonate with this or if you've seen this yourself. I see a lot of people are either spending like a lot of hours in admin, and I call it admin like things that are not quite necessary. It's manual tasks that you probably don't have to be doing, but you're doing anyway. Right? we need to cover some of that today because I know if you're like I know a bunch of you here are like clients of mine, students of mine. We've talked about this before, but I'm like this is such a great thing to refresh you. If you haven't heard me talk about the four P's, it's going to be probably the most important principle I can give you. If you've heard me talking about it, pay attention anyway. I'm sure you will learn something new, and it's always good to have a refresher. Secondly, people set a revenue goal that ends up being quite arbitrary and they
Hmm.
don't connect it to reality. Yeah, I can hear Michelle like agreeing.
Yeah.
Um, all right, and Katrina, I see that in chat you said as well. So I used to do this a lot where I go, oh, I want to make a 200K a year. Great, done. That's my goal, and it's gonna be, how much is that? 16K a month. Okay, but how are you gonna do that? And this is where you're gonna see this connect. I'm gonna map some things out for you in the flip chart as well. We'll just keep this interactive. But people set revenue goals that are not in line with how they want to live their life, right? Because the revenue can is linked with your pricing, with your client delivery, with your marketing systems, with your current client retention strategies, with your admin processes. And it's not just, oh, just get in front of more leads. I mean, yes. Okay, how are you doing that? But if you're at 100K a year right now, you want to get a 200K, cool. Does that also mean you're doubling your client delivery? Does that also mean you're doubling the number of sales calls that you do? How does all of that work? Right? And number three, people who've tried a lot of marketing strategies and keep quitting them. So they have a stop-start strategy process happening where they, join a course for a couple of weeks and they start doing LinkedIn DMs, and then they join another course about video marketing and they start doing that. So the thing that worked for me the best, and Michael can completely attest to this because he's been by my side from the very beginning. The thing that kind of got me over my tipping point. Yeah, I know some of you resonate with this, but I felt for a long time I was at a tipping point. Like things were going well, but it all felt very chaotic, and I felt like I had so much more potential for revenue and impact than I was fulfilling. And I did not know like the puzzle piece of how to kind of get past that point for everything to start flowing. Is that resonating with anyone? Yeah. And I have a very boring answer for you guys here, and the answer was focus. The answer was literally when I started doing less shit, but I started doing it better, and I had it attached to a clear strategy that I was mindful of, that I was working also very closely with a mentor on, that I had someone in my corner who was like, hey, Maggie, you're doing X, you should be doing Y. Like, hey, let me give you some feedback. And I had that. That's when I went from, I was doing what, 10K a month around this time, but my profit margin was like this because I had no systems, no operations, et cetera, et cetera. And when I fixed some of these things, the business model, the marketing, the messaging, we did 73K in 3 weeks within like 2 months, right? And that was for me the tipping point. And then obviously I had to fix so many more things and operationally and everything. But the thing I want to give you here is I want you to walk away from the next hour with, I know what to focus on. Here are the most important levers I have to be pulling regularly, with consistently for 2026. And there are resources I have access to, mentorship, information, AI automations that will make me feel well supported, and I can do this. Are y'all with me? Michael, did you want to add something?
No,
Oh, you're just
I was
clearing
just,
yourself
I
to be
was
dismissed.
also having that same Ferrero Rocher,
The one I got as a gift.
that one that you got as a gift.
Okay,
Yeah, half of that box is mine.
great. All right. So three core things we're going to cover today. One is the time element. Okay. Time element, your 2026 numbers, that's Michael's AI magic-y thingy. Very excited to dive into that. And then your systems. And I'm starting with time because this is the same process we go through with every single one of you inside Evergreen Empire or inside my mastermind, or if you're a private client. You come in, the first thing we look at is where do we save you time? And what I've noticed is a lot of you who are my students and clients start falling back into bad habits. And there are systems that if you spend a little bit of time where you got our support a little bit to optimize it, you would freaking fly. But you keep going back to habits because you have this built-in belief that, well, the more hours I put in, the more successful I will be. Well, I'm like, no, there's basic systems you need to fix to save you time, and that time you can use better. Okay? So this is like, I kind of wanted to say this is like my prediction for 2026. It's not really a prediction. I've also been preaching the same concept for like freaking 6 years now. Here's what's happening right now, and here's what's going to keep happening into 2026 and beyond. On one part, we have AI systems automations. If you want to not just keep ahead of your competition, no. If you want to just stay in the same playground as your competitors and not fall dramatically behind, you have to be doing some level of AI systems and automations. Like 2026, you cannot get away from this. And I know I don't mean you talk to ChatGPT, right? It's way beyond that right now. Again, this you do not have to be a rocket scientist. Michael's doing some very, very cool things with AI. We've been doing a lot of improvements on like client engagement and our backend, our programs that are coming soon as well. And it's a lot more about an operational focus. What is the goal that I have? What needs to happen? What is the easiest, fastest, smoothest way I can get to that goal? Therefore, what AI exists? What systems can I build? What can I automate? Right? Um, so an example, I had this with a client last week on the Evergreen Empire call. He said like, oh, I need to overhaul my entire client onboarding process, and it's going to be this huge project. And because he's spending too much time like manually onboarding clients right now because they don't understand where to find the login, blah, 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 blah. Very annoying. When I looked at his process, I realized, well, actually, the welcome email where you give them this information is just really long. And when people are excited because they've just bought your program, they're excited. Just be super clear and be very minimal and just say, here's what to do next. And if we make that one change, that's already an optimization. Okay, so you've got AI systems automations on one side to be more productive. How can you be more efficient? Right? We have $1 million a year business with 3 people, and that's including me and Michael. You no longer have to build a huge team. You no longer spend 50K on ads either. We've done that too in the past. There has never in the history of mankind been an easier time to start, grow, and scale a business than today. Isn't that freaking exciting? You get to take advantage of this. Now, here's the downside. Well, one, everyone else is doing this too, so you have to keep up, and that can be kind of stressful and overwhelming, and there's like a million apps and AI tools and so on. On the other hand, the more we automate, the deeper we go into AI, the more we have to balance it out with deep human touch points. No one wants to feel like they're talking to ChatGPT. So if you're automating and you're adding let's say a chatbot, or you're creating AI tools for your content, etc., and your etc., how are you adding life and humanity back into your marketing, into your business? How are you making leads feel seen and understood by you? How are you standing out as a human next to the next person who's doing what you do with AI? And that's kind of the balance of figuring out for your business, what can we optimize from an operational standpoint? AI systems, automations, sequences, anything that we can just make you more productive faster. And then how do we add the human connection back? Because at the end of the day, this part makes you effective and productive, and we need that. We need that right now. This part is going to get you the client for life. And we need both. Okay, so that's 2026. These are the 2 things. for you to be able to do this effectively, you need to be so freaking crystal clear on this thing is the most effective use of my time today. Because all these things, you can be wasting a shit ton of time. Okay. I had to put this in because Michael quotes this at me 3 times a week. If you follow the process, the results will follow. So today I want to help you build out the process, and it's then just about doing and optimizing and testing versus starting from scratch every single time. Okay, so the idea is we want to concentrate your focus. We don't want to spread it out. We want to make sure your strategies are interconnected versus starting a new thing from scratch. Like if you've been in my space, you see I do the same thing more or less every single month. I do the same thing more or less every single week. There's a lot of experimentation within that structure. There's a lot of testing within that structure, whatever works I give you guys. But you don't see me starting brand new things from scratch every single time, right? Are you guys seeing that? That there's a consistency with what I'm doing? Yeah. Because when I was doing the experimentation, all things from scratch all the time, that's when I was burning out making 5K a month and like paying myself $300 a month on a good month. We don't want that. Okay. So everyone, here's like the five, are they five, six, five? 5 things that everyone needs. Lead generation. How do you get in front of new people? Lead nurture. How are you building a relationship and trust and authority with that potential client? How do you get them into your sales ecosystem and get them to become a client and pay you and be excited to work with you? How are you delivering on what you just sold? And how do you keep more clients? We'll be talking in our program, we'll be talking a lot more about client retention and some of the systems and automations and touch points around retention.
Yeah.
Michael and I were talking about this morning, like we've not seen basically anyone talk about client retention before. Barely. So we want to give you guys some systems that you can use to, if you've sold a client, if you've done all this work over here, you've done a good job over here, let's keep them.
It takes 80% less energy to keep a client versus trying to find a new client. Think about that. 80% less.
Cool. So if you're already in my ecosystem, this is going to be familiar. 4Ps. Who here is not super familiar with what the 4Ps stand for? Can you just let me know in the chat? Just so I know if I need to explain a little bit more about the 4Ps. Let me just switch my microphone. All right. Can you guys still hear me? All right. So what I want to do here is just do a quick overview of the 4Ps. Because this is what I would suggest you do on a day-to-day basis. Right? Let me stop sharing my screen and make myself bigger. Nope. There we go. Okay. So 4P quadrant, if you are not familiar or if you don't remember, this is one of the most important concepts. And if you're familiar with this, it's a good refresher because it's something I keep coming back to and I'm consistently forgetting about. Okay? Very top level. Promotion. Anything, any task or activity that makes you money. So the 4P quadrant is a way of prioritizing your time and activities. I literally consistently use this, even with my clients who are doing over $1 million a year, multiple millions. We keep coming back to this because this is how we prioritize what they should be doing. Promotion, anything that makes you money. Direct impact. Production, anything to do with creating. So creating content, creating webinar slides. It has an indirect relation to you making you money. What's a good symbol for content? Fine. Content. Okay,
Should be the scribble.
that's a camera. Provisions. Provision is client delivery. A provision task is something you have been paid to do. It's not going to make you more money, but you've promised someone and they've paid you, so you have to do the thing. Okay. Lastly, pedestrian, admin, operations, things that have to happen in the business, but they're not going to make you money. They just still have to happen. So think like answering emails that are non-revenue related, doing your bookkeeping, things like that. Now, the question is, right now, where is your time going? On a weekly basis, on a daily basis? Because most people that I speak to, doesn't really matter what level of business they're at. They're either overbooked coaches and service providers, so 70% of their time or more is spent in provision, which is cool because they're getting paid, they're making money, but it's really, really hard to grow a business from a provision heavy week or day to day. Because if 70% of your time is spent in client delivery, well, how are we getting more leads? How are you growing your audience? So this tends to be one of the first things I look at with people who are like kind of overbooked. I'm booked out with clients or I'm busy already. And here's when we can start adding automation systems and AI. Okay. Same thing for all four. But what we really want is we want to start shifting some of this time into promotion, into actual growth. I think some of you keep forgetting that you have a business to run and that requires getting in front of more people, experimenting with marketing, and getting more inquiries into your system. Does this make sense for everyone? Any questions on it? Cool. But I keep coming back to this concept myself personally. It's really critical. And this is the starting point of where do we need to add systems into your business? What are the bottlenecks? Where can we win you back time? Where can we increase your revenue? Those are the two questions always with every single client. And if you come to me on a first battle plan call, you get a one-on-one, obviously. I give you an exercise to do before this. We sit down, we look at this. I generally help clients win back 5-10 hours a week just with this exercise. Right? And if you're feeling like, hey, I've done this stuff, but I'm still feeling really busy, very, very likely there's still time hiding in here. And I come back to this regularly. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking about the 4 Ps because I could go on forever because I think it's really, really critical.
Last time Maggie and I did the 4 Ps, I had more work to do, which is a different story.
I love the comments. Okay, so Haley, yeah, provision. Haley's provision heavy. Catriona provision heavy. Good to see you. Um, and there I've done some things recently with clients on if they're provision heavy of what can we do to win back time on provision? Are we over delivering to clients? Is there a system that could exist to get you some time back? Do we need to hire someone? How do we streamline and systematize your client delivery? Right? This does not mean give less one-on-one time to clients and make sure they get a worse result with you. No, because we want them to keep staying and tell all their friends about you and come back and, you know, client retention. But there's ways we can adjust that. Cool. So the idea is that you're working on the right things. It's not about you having a work ethic problem. I don't think that's the case for anyone here. It's about a systems problem. So how much time do you spend on each area? Is it the right balance? What systems exist to help you win back this time? Because it's different for every single person. Okay? So, and the whole goal is we want you to focus on high value work. that the first thing you do daily is the thing, that task that will move the needle forward for you. Okay. So you're building the business that you want. And that's a nice little segue. We're optimizing, automating, getting time back, and we're going to segue into your 2026 numbers with Michael. So we've had a little bit of a chat about where is your time going. Now let's talk about your revenue.
Right. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. Um, if you can allow me to share my screen, Meg.
Yes, you should be able to.
Excellent. All right, people. Oh, actually, before I do that, I know that most of the people here are in our program. I know that there are a few people here on visit. My name is Michael. I'm also Maggie's husband. I used to be a sales director in corporate, landed over about 80 million in revenue for corporate clients and for people in our program. Am I that amazing? I'll let you decide in a while. But what I am really good at is in helping people see the how and the what behind the machine and how to actually get sales in, how to do a conversation, and how to convert those conversations into sales. Thanks, John. Um, it's never bad to get your ego patted. I know that today I look like a character from Sesame Street with a very shiny hat and it looks like a floating hat, but please bear with me. The content is more important. So let me share my screen. I made a few notes from what Maggie was just discussing. Oh, oh no, where did I put it? Yes. So one of the things that she said, if you don't have that clarity, it's very often, sorry, if you don't have your business running properly, it's usually a systems problem, but it's also a clarity problem. Clarity comes from not knowing your numbers. It comes from not knowing where your destination is. So if you don't know where your destination is, how do you make plans and ever landing there? You don't know what you don't know. How do you keep your focus rather than being pulled back into your daily routine, which obviously only got you so far? So obviously one of the answers is having me and Maggie around to keep that focus on a weekly basis. But the other thing is doing some self-study. So everybody can see my screen, yeah? This beautiful website. Now the first thing is I made this website using AI. I took what I did in the past with my clients and with my team members, told Google Gemini what I wanted to put together. Obviously, it took me one full day to go back and forth and to get it absolutely, completely how I wanted it. But this entire digital workbook that you're going to see today is made with AI. So just keep that in mind whilst we're going through it. So first of all, for everybody who's new here, this is the website that you can go to. It's maggiegieler.com. So you can fill it out for yourself, /2026 hyphen engine. All right. So let me put that in the chat as well.
I
Oh,
got it.
thank you
Oh,
very much,
perfect.
Maggie. Now I will explain to you how it works, why we fill out certain numbers, and then we'll take it from there, okay? For everybody new, connect with Maggie if you haven't already, or if you haven't already, click on the links where you are most favorably, follow us, because that will also benefit us and you guys. And for the people, for especially Catriona and for Rebecca, if you want to get back in touch with us, you can use this link to schedule your game plan call with us. So I'm going to start now. So here you see a few tabs. The first one is we want to have a very quick review of 2025. I want to map out 2026 with you. Then we're going to have a look at like what is your personal business blueprint for success. Then we need to have a focus for quarter 1. Then we'll break that down monthly and then we'll finalize it. Please keep in mind that the data that you put in here is being able to be downloaded at the end of this session as a PDF. It will also be submitted to me and Maggie for review to help you guys out in the program, okay? If you have an issue with that, then keep that in mind that if you press that button, it will land on my desk for me to review, but obviously in the end, it's there to help you guys. So if you put in there, Michael is not a nice guy, I will see it. Keep that in mind. So the first thing is on this one, let's fill in what went well in 2025, right? Me and Maggie working closer together, slimming down to then grow bigger again, etc., etc. So whatever you need to do. Then with what didn't go well is what kind of patterns did you see? So this is not a one. Sorry. So with what didn't go well, this is about patterns. So this is not like a one-off or I didn't have a deal. Like what didn't go well? This could be a program that you joined. It could be the fact that you forgot to do an onboarding process. What did not go well in 2025? Anyone want to share anything that didn't go particularly well, or is that too personal? I know for some people it was onboarding calls, for other people it was sales calls, for other people it was like they didn't have a consistent um, um, things.
Getting distracted. Oh, hang on. Getting distracted and doing things that didn't lead anywhere.
Okay. So what went well then in 2025 for you, John?
Well, setting up the AI systems for writing promo copy, for creating Facebook posts. I've really
Okay.
got a good system going for that. Starting my big high ticket offer and getting
Excellent.
I've now got 8 people through it or
Yeah.
on it.
And
Yep.
I think what went well as well for you is that we finally nailed down your messaging. I think you need to stick maybe a little bit more rigorously to the letter, but overall, we've got that set up now and it's going, right?
Yeah.
Good. So for Haley, 2025 was not great. I went backward, ready to learn in it. My focus was split on trying to create. So, if you would turn this into a positive, Haley, I would say you became aware that there's a better way of doing things, right? You were doing things wrong. You took that step of also joining us to help you to get to another level. Um, we've all been there. So just make sure that you're aware of what went well and what didn't go well. The reason why we do this is, first of all, we want to celebrate and acknowledge successes. The human brain is very quick to like, oh my God, it's not going bad. Oh my God, what do these people think of me? It's all BS. You need to show yourself that things are positive. There are good things happening because if you're only hearing negative stuff and only negative conversations in your head or from other people, you're going in this downward spiral, and obviously that leads to things where you don't want to be. What didn't go well will help you. If you write this down, it will help you to identify what went wrong, why it went wrong, and then you can put things in place to prevent it from happening in the future. How often do you stand still and go like, I failed. The reason that I failed is why. To make sure that doesn't happen again, I need to put X, Y, and Z in place. What are your stop signs or alarm bells to make sure that you actually learn for certain lessons and it will never happen again? How often do you reflect on things went wrong? I put this in place and now this went well. So you need to analyze your business like monthly, quarterly, but we'll get to that in a second. What I want you to put down now is 2 things. Firstly, what was your high ticket revenue? So what was your main revenue of your program the revenue of your main program? So the biggest program that you have that brings in the most money in 2025, and how many did you sell? Then basically everything else, how much revenue did you do there and how many sales did that equate to? It's just to get an average order value for your high ticket and for your low ticket sales, and just to be aware and stand still of a second like, hey, this is what we need. This is what I've brought in money of high ticket, my main program, and everything else. Okay. So far with me? You're not with me, Kristen? Any questions?
Yeah, so my question is, I'm looking at this. So where you say the high ticket revenue, is that like the number of your high ticket program, or is it the total sales that you're making? Because mine's
Revenue,
kind of like
money.
recurring. Pardon?
This is just all the money that you've made in that year from that program,
Thank you.
right? For today's sake, I'm not looking at repeat business, and I will tell you in a second why I'm not looking at repeat business. And I will share that with you at the end of this exercise. So just put in the revenue of your main ticket program, how many you've sold, what was your low ticket revenue? It's just to get a general idea. It doesn't have to be exact figures. So if you go like, well, retention, etc., it's just to ballpark me. Okay. Then we go to the next one, map. So what is the main goal for you for 2026? So this could be revenue. It could be reinventing the wheel. It could be building my systems, could be building my business. One part of that should be revenue. Like, what is the amount of revenue that you have as a goal in 2026? And then here, where it says why this matters is why that number? I've seen so many people, salespeople, business owners, that they have a certain number, let's say 5 million, 6 million, or 200,000, 300,000, doesn't matter. They don't hit that goal and they get depressed. Or they hit that goal and they still get depressed because there is no other goal behind it. They never thought about, okay, if I hit that, then what? And very often what they then do is like, well, then I need to increase that number. But what are you doing it for? Are you doing it for a personal thing, like, you want to put down a deposit, you want to help the local female community, you want to, save the world and build a zoo, whatever it is that motivates you to actually show up and do the work? What makes you, no matter how hard your job is, come into work with a smile on your face? What is your avatar, your lucky charm, if you like? What is it? Do you have short-term goals? I want to buy a new pair of shoes. Do you have mid-term goals? I want to buy a new car because it's to replacement. Or, I want to go with my sister who I haven't seen for 5 years on a beautiful cruise around the world. Why do you earn this money? Or why do you have a business? Can some of you share with me in the chat or feel free to jump on the call? What are you doing this for? What motivates you every single day to work your bum off to generate this revenue? What is your short-term, your mid-term, and your long-term goals? Business or private? Husband and baby. Sure. So for Jillian, what I would say for you is, what is it about your husband and baby? Like, do you have a certain goal for the baby? Like, you want to have, for example, a private school fund by the time that they're, I don't know when they go to private school, by the time that they're, let's say, 10, 12, and I need to save up 80 grand. I don't know what it costs, but make the goals more tangible because then you can tick it off, right? I want to earn money for my husband and baby. It's a great initiative, but make it more tangible. Replace retiring husband's income. Okay, so Julie, you know for yourself like what that number is and what you need to do. Surviving, being able to pay the mortgage and build some savings so we can stay in this house. Happy wife, happy life. Yeah. So what is that number, John, that you need to generate? I think a lot of people don't have this visual in front of them and they don't revisit these goals. I'll tell you a little very short story because I'm also aware of time. I used to have this girl in my sales team. She would hit every single target, monthly, quarterly, yearly. If she would miss a month, she would hit it the next month, but she would not miss out on her year goal. She would go on every single company holiday. She would get the car that she wants. Every single thing that she put in front of her, she would hit it because she knew what she had to do to get it. What she did, she made either a very small vision board She would literally draw out the year in front of her, right? It's like, this is when I go on the company holiday. This is my target. This is how many deals I need, etc., etc. And I think if you stand still every single month, every single quarter with where you are for your short, mid, long-term goals, business and personal, and we can have a separate session on helping you guys build a vision board or doing something. But stand still. Why you work? What are you doing this for? Because then suddenly, and I think this is what they mention, what people mention with how do you call it again, Maggie, when you put it out there and it comes back at you? Sorry?
Manifesting?
Yes, I think this is as close as it comes to manifesting. If you know where your journey leads to, you'll get there quicker. We had it many times. We had a beautiful, Maggie had a villa one time on her vision board, and now we live in a villa. But that was 5 years ago. We never thought we would live in a villa, or 7 years ago. But you can only get somewhere when it's constantly front and center. What do you want for yourself, for people around? It doesn't matter. Anyway,
Just to
now
add
the
on,
other thing,
just to add on to that, I think a lot of us as business owners get very fixated on the numbers, on like the amount of money that you want. But breaking it down with what Michael's sharing, it's so incredibly important because the moment that something doesn't quite work, for 95% of us, we need more motivation than a number. We need a deeper motivation than a number to give us the confidence to push through when things don't go, when we don't hit a home run every single time.
yeah, it's the fuel for your engine. Every single time you go like a little bit like, fuck. You tap into your reserves, right? If you don't have any goals, it's much easier to say like, you know what, next month again, next month again. And the problem with that is that next month will never come. Because if you really want something, you want it today. You'll do anything possible to get it as soon as possible. What I always see is that people is like, oh yeah, this quarter I'm going to do 50K. Okay, great. So January, February, March, you're going to do 50K? Yeah. Okay, cool. So, but you told me that you've got a wedding that you need to attend. Yeah. And you also need to get your hip replaced. Yeah. And this. So what you're saying is you're going to make 50K in 3 months, which is effectively 30 days. So you've only got 30 business days to actually get this done. Yeah. Tell me, how's this going to play out? Where's this coming from? When are you going on holiday? When you got like your birthdays, your travels, your whatever it is that you do? When, is there a certain period of the year where your clients are gone? So for example, if you work in construction, there's 2 or 3 weeks of the year in the Netherlands where everybody's out. No one's there. Don't even bother calling them. You don't have to fill this out completely right now, but I have this in here so that you guys are aware that if you do your year planning for your goal setting and everything, you need to be aware when's happening what. So for now, I suggest that you just fill out January, February, March, because that's Q1. Okay? Any questions, any comments, anything so far? Anything that stands out? Anything that you find BS? Tell me. I see people typing. Who's first? Come on. No? Okay, no worries. Then we'll continue. Next, blueprint. Oh, there we go. Love the picture nature of the year planner. Perfect. It's great to have it all mapped out like this. Perfect. Excellent. So now let's have a look at your business blueprint. When you run
Wait,
a
hold on.
business,
Julie,
you need.
did you need something?
Oh,
I saw Julie waving.
I was just celebrating this outcome, this table I just got that made it look real doable. Sorry.
excellent. So this is the business blueprint. When I plan business, the first thing I do is I look at everything without the emotion. Now, if you run a business, obviously there is emotion, but to make sure that you run a business effectively, you need to make some decisions that are just cold-hearted. It needs to be black and white. It needs to be something that you can write down on paper. The emotion is not going to run your business. Now, having that said, I think a lot of people would disagree with me. I'm a little bit too logical at times, but when it comes down to numbers, numbers are numbers and they don't have feelings. What I mean with this is if by the end of the year you didn't hit your numbers, you can't pay your bills, the numbers are not going to say like, oh, how sad, I'm just going to add 100,000 out of nowhere. So the numbers are just something like that. Now my screen disappeared, Meg. Oh, here we go. Sorry about that. So first of all, put in your year revenue target. What I want you to do is I only want you to, just put in your year revenue target. So let's say, just to keep it easy, 600,000, right? So let's say that my main, and I just want you to put your main product offer in here, just the price of your main product offer. So let's say our Evergreen Empire is 15,000, and that's it. So the close rate that we have is probably around 70%, 75%, right? If they're really good qualified, that's it. The show up rate is for the sales calls, it's pretty good. 4 out of 5 would show up. Lead conversion rate, this is the amount of leads it takes me to get one person booked. So you can think about the amount of advertising that you need to do to a certain amount of leads. This could be to your email list if you've got 2,000 people on it. So what is that conversion rate? You can ballpark it for the moment if you like, but let's say that the conversion rate is for your email list, let's say it's 2%, right? Yes, now I can see everybody and share my screen. That's good. Anybody have any questions here on this to fill this out? Michelle? No? Oh, okay, cool. Jennifer, you're clear on everything here? You filled it out? Yeah.
Jillian's-
Michael,
Who's
Michael?
that? Jillian? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, just a quick question for the that last number, is that, do you mean like low ticket offer to booking rate?
In your case, that could be an extra step, so I didn't account for that. So if you've got a low ticket that goes into high ticket, I did not calculate that in this one because I need to have a general one. But just think about how many leads does it take to get to that call.
Got it. Right now I'm just running that as my lead gen, so I'll use that as my conversion.
Yeah, sure. So if you let's say that you get a 4% conversion to your onboarding call, right? Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Your low ticket to sales call last week was 100%.
Yeah, it is. I have my numbers here. My
Right.
close rate's 49, show up is 86, and lead conversion is 40.
Yeah. Okay. No need to show off. But that's pretty good. That's pretty good, what you say? I would say, yeah. But what I'm trying to say with this, Jillian, is if you look at these numbers, you can now see monthly to close 3 clients or 3.3 clients, you need to get at least 5 sales calls, or in our situation. For 5 sales calls, I need to get 7 people to book a call because only 5 show up. And for that, I only need 153 messages or DMs or getting in touch with people. Yeah. So actual engagement with people going like, hey, let's jump on a call. This is a very rough estimate. So it really depends on like how your leads go. That's why we've got these sliders, etc. So if I do this new business, right? I wanted you to put the revenue for your entire business. But if I would only focus on generating new business, no repeat business, no low ticket, this is what I need to do to get 600K. Yeah. So how does that look for you guys? I just want to see everybody for a second. Yes, Michelle, 153 monthly. Yeah. could be email list, DM conversations, right? So 153 doesn't need to, that can be, yeah, that of course that could make you nervous. But here's the thing, Julie. Now that we're aware of it, just hold that thought, Monica, I'll be right with you. Now that we're aware of these numbers, what we can do is we go like, you know what? Let's say that my close rate was 20%. It's like, well, that's actually not good. Now I need to do 17 sales calls. If I only increase my skill set to close more people on a call, I suddenly have to do 30% less effort. If I work on my show up rates, right, I need to get less leads. So you can start thinking about where are these numbers coming from? How do I influence this? But this also shows us there's multiple levers in your business. You need to define what are those levers? How do I influence them? Is this a skill issue? Is this a core business blueprint issue? What Maggie will talk about after this, right? With the 4 Ps, do I need to focus more on X, Y, Z? And if you focus on all of these little levers all a little bit and look at like what is the biggest thing that I can change within that lever, that's how you create a massive business without having to be an expert. An expert into getting everything right. You just look at like an agile way of running your business. Agile means we look at like what is the biggest thing that I can change to get the biggest effect out of it. That's it. And now you know what all these different levers are. And then you can influence this. That's why I wanted to show you this. So if it looks scary, yeah, it could be scary, but at least now you know what is in front of you to hit certain numbers and what you can do to influence them. So it could be like, you know what, I'm going away from my email list, and well, you shouldn't do that. But if my email list is scary to me, maybe I should do an additional exercise, or maybe I need to look at my pricing because very good, Maggie. Maggie sends me a quick note. Michael, what about pricing? Let's say that I just increase my pricing. Now I only need 2 clients, 2.5 clients, right? So I might as well increase my revenue then. 700,000. Now I only need 3 clients again. So you can play around with it, but this is now the weekly levers. So what you need to do let's say that our offer price is 20K. We want to do more. Let's say that we want to do 1.2 million. Then I need to get, you see suggested here, I need to get 2 sales calls. I need to get 8 conversations per day, and I need to get 2 calls booked. So 2 sales calls, 2 calls booked because I do 80%. So let's say I want to have 3 calls booked, right? Just in case of the numbers, and 8 conversations per day. So this is weekly, this is daily, and this is your business blueprint, right? So if you fill out that business blueprint, you know exactly what to do on just the hard numbers. The strategy is a different thing, but on the hard numbers, what you need to do on a daily number to get to some number. And then suddenly it's not that scary. I mean, 8 leads conversations per day. That doesn't sound too scary. 2 sales calls a week. That doesn't sound too scary. Because I know what influences my business in the levers and the ratios, I can see, hey, if I do increase my price, and you might go like, well, I don't feel super confident in increasing my price. But what you can then do is look at like, how can I get more value in my program to justify the price? Because it's always about perceived value. These are leads, blah, blah, blah. Light bulb moment. Good. So first, very quick, Monica, you had a question. Is that answered, or would you like to?
No, I just had because like for instance, I've already looked at our numbers for this year, and I know that with our client base right now, we have $200,000 banked for this year, right? So if I want to grow the business another $100,000, right? Because I guess when I'm looking at the revenue and it's hard for me to classify because our stuff is monthly. It's not like low ticket, high ticket. It's monthly recurring revenue, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out how to make it like I want to grow ideally another like my big stretch goal would be 300,000, right? To get the business from 200 to 500,000, let's say, right? But I'm trying to figure out how to make it work for me in the sense of I already have like a bucket that's accounted for in
Yep.
that number.
Yeah, that's fine. So the number I just showed you, this is like, okay, how can we get to that number with just new business? Then the great thing is you can use your retention and low ticket stuff as kind of like a bonus to fill up the gap if you don't make it. I always like to look at like what is the new business that we're going to do, and then in a separate meeting, I want to look at like, okay, what can we do to keep retention? But this is going to be a hot topic anyway in our programming this year because we've now worked our bum off to get these clients. How do we keep them? Because it takes so much less energy in keeping them. But there's like strategies around that, right? And it starts from the moment that they join you that you go like, listen, we constantly look at like what is next and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, they do need to get the value, but how do you make sure they don't start thinking about someone else if you can deliver them that value? Because as soon as they start thinking about someone else, they're gone.
No, right. I think I'm saying I have the opposite. Like I know we have 200,000 in retention. I'm pretty stable there. Like I'm just trying to figure out how to use the business blueprint for what I want to do going forward.
Okay. Well, maybe it's good for us to have a separate chat about that
Okay.
because your business model is slightly different. More than happy to jump on that 30-minute call with you to see how we can make that work for you and
Okay.
brainstorm a bit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. So, am I still sharing my screen? No.
Yeah.
I need to round this up because I said to Maggie, "Oh, I've got so much experience. I will stick at least in 20 minutes." Clearly not. Right. Q1 focus. Now, remember when I told you guys about when you're off, etc. So in January, it could be that you go like, okay, wedding. February could be holiday, etc. So here you can say the intensity. Okay, well, in January, I can only put 80% of my time towards the business. In February, although I've got a holiday, I can still hit 90%. And then in March, I don't have anything, so I can put 130%. Right? This is super simple. You just look at like what is my capacity like in Q1? And then you click on next, Q1 monthly. And it automatically recalculates your business blueprint per month. So it looks at like what is the total number that I need to do and how does that now compare to these months? So obviously you've got your own little blueprint. Is this clear? Because I went quite quick. So you just look at like, what is my capacity? How do these numbers break down? The only thing that I would like you to keep in mind is time to conversion. So how long does it take you from getting in front of a client and messaging them to getting them on a sales call to closing them? How long is that lead conversion time for you guys? You don't have to answer that on this call, but that's something that you need to keep in mind because if there's more pressure on March, although you don't have that capacity in January, you might need to make a short sacrifice to be able to still hit your Q1 goals. Or you go like, well, I'll make up for it in April. But if the gap is too big, you're still only one person or a couple of people in the business. You can't like at one point, it's too big of a gap to make up for. So you need to keep that in mind. And then the most important thing is then after this, we finalize it. So what I want you guys to do is this is your hero's contract. So this is where you go like, I will commit to this. I will show up. I will stick to my daily plan to actually get to success. And I'll tell you something, if you stick to your daily numbers as a priority together with the 4 Ps that Maggie gave you, you will get a hell of a lot of away because if you follow this process, everything else will follow. Now you might go like, hey, my sales calls conversion is dropping. Great, jump on a call with me. I will analyze it with you. We'll make sure that those numbers go up. Every single time, the only thing you need to do is like, how can we make sure that these percentages stay up high? And if you see something dropping, it's either a skill issue, it's a knowledge issue, or it's a beliefs issue. That's it. The first two we can help you with. And the last one we can teach you. But this is a here contract to yourself. Then what you do is you sign it, you just put your full name here, and then you click submit and download PDF. So you will get everything that you filled out as a PDF, and I will get the information as well. There's a few things that you need to keep in mind. New versus repeat. This calculator focuses on the new business revenue. So whatever you have at the end of it, you can still add, for example, hey, I want to, I've got 500K in business. I have 50% retention. So I can add 250K on that target. Your lead time, as I just mentioned, I would like for you guys to consistently have this as a rolling review. So you do this monthly and you always do your quarters rolling. So you always look forward at the next 3 months. So it's first Q1 and then it's month 2, 3, 4. And then it's month 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6. The reason why you do that is because then there's no surprises and you start to plan for the months after that. And that way, it's easier to plan and overcome anything that is ahead of you, like holidays, birthdays, disease, sickness, and whatever. And here, respect the map. If your close rate drops, your lead volume must go up. If you use this blueprint tab regularly, you can review it yourself. Then you have the reality in front of you, what you need to do and how you can adjust this new outcome. And if you lead all of this back into your focus and your motivation, what are you doing this for? Then you have the drive to constantly look at this. What we call this in business is nothing that I've made up, but you call it sharpening the saw. Most businesses do not do this. Most people don't sit down and look at what they need to do and how to improve. They just do. They just act because their calendar is full under provision. And they never stand still to actually strategically look at what is next. How do I overcome this? I swear to God, if you do this on at least a minimum a monthly basis, I do it weekly, or I used to do it weekly with my teams. It's like, where's the business coming from? What is the lead time? Why is it still out? Blah, 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 blah. But if you do this on a monthly basis, at least, your business will absolutely skyrocket because you know what to influence to get there. You like it? It was good? Yeah? I see some happy faces. I see some questionable faces. Is it too much information overload or is it okay? Yeah. Who has I put it in Gemini. I'm more than happy to show this on our Evergreen Empire call. I do need to go now. So, Maggie, over to you.
All right. Can y'all hear me okay? My microphone is always doesn't know if it's here or not. Any questions on what Michael and I have shared with you guys today? Okay. I think that just a map of your year, of mapping out your year of what's happening when, for me personally, that was life-changing. And this is the stuff that I don't see a lot of other people sharing often. Because it's not that sexy. This is not a sexy magic bullet, exciting sales page, dopamine hit thing you're gonna get. This is cold hard reality, and it can make you really uncomfortable. And that's why we always have these conversations with like, well, okay, if you don't like the numbers you're getting, if you do your revenue goal, and you look at your output and you're like, I hate these numbers suck. Okay, why do they suck? Is it because you're looking at the number of leads you would have to get in front of? You're like, holy crap, how do I do that? If you're looking at the number of sales calls and you're thinking, ugh, I don't want to do this. then let us have a conversation with you to see what needs to be adjusted in your business model, your marketing, your systems, your prices, Jillian, exactly, to make sure the revenue numbers align with your life goals. Michael, do you want to hop back in?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I thought I had a call, but that's in an hour, so no stress. We had a little bit of stress moment, but nothing's wrong. So if you guys have any questions or anything, I'm here to give some extra context or talk about it. But what has been your own personal biggest takeaway from filling out these numbers?
One of my questions is with people responding to my lead magnets, do I consider, I send them stuff, but I get very little back from people. So they take the lead magnet.
Yeah, that's a
they
question
follow up.
for tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, partly that would be also, how do I measure that? Because you've got how many, to look at the thing again. What are the leads? Oh, where's it gone? Yeah, on that map. No, not on the map. On the
Yeah, so how
blueprint.
many leads that you send it out? If you post something online, sometimes that's difficult to measure, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't always see like how many people have seen it, how many people have come back to you. But this is the thing, as soon as they come back to you, right, and they have questions, I would count that as at least a lead because it doesn't mean they'll get on a sales call with you. So you can still measure something. And if you can't measure them, then unfortunately, you just need to measure like how many people are getting on a sales call.
Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't be
Yeah, that
like
was the
super
question.
hung
Thank
up
you.
on the lead stuff, but it is to also open your guys' eyes on the reality of growth right now and the reality of growing an audience. So with growing an audience, we're looking at, oh, actually, Michael, are you done on your side? So I can kind of wrap up with a couple of the things here.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just very curious if anything was surprising to people on the time or on their goals, etc., that they filled out. That you're like, hey, oh my God, I was like not aware that this upcoming thing is going to be an issue for me, or I wasn't aware that I have to get X amount of leads to get to a certain number. Was anything that was surprising to you, or was it all stuff that you were already expecting?
And I like that idea also of putting in the things in the coming month that would stop me doing this work, like events,
Yeah,
personal events,
exactly.
things like that. I think that's really important.
Yeah, anything that takes your time away, because anything that takes your time away, it means that you have to put more time in provision. So it means that you have even less time for promotion and production. So the more events that you have, because the things that you have to do, you have to do it. So anything that eats up your time will mean that you need to put more stuff in pedestrian and in provision. So either you need to automate the shizzle out of your business, which we already discussed with Maggie, leverage AI, and that this is also why it's so important, especially as a small business. Maggie.
I'm gonna just wrap things up. So the last couple things to show you guys. So we talked about this a second ago. Your pillars, right? Now that we have more context with these numbers, lead gen, nurture, sales, delivery, and retention. So here's a couple other levers you can pull, right? Depending on where you're at. So this might make some of you who are feeling a little bit nervous about things, maybe breathe a bit deeper. In terms of lead gen, how are you getting in front of new leads? What I think is the most effective method, if you're below 15, 20K a month in the online product space, offer space, is power content to get in front of new people and OPA other people's audiences. So ideally once a month, are you doing something that will get you in front of someone else's audience? Right? This is something that we're doing for 2026. I've been doing it for the last couple of months, and it works very, very well, very consistently as an addition to everything else we're doing. Happy to talk about this more, but there's also entire sections at Evergreen Empire on tapping into other people's audiences. Right? Lead nurture. So yes, you need to get in front of X amount of leads to book those sales calls, but every lead is not created equal. Someone who grabbed a freebie off of you at a summit is different to someone you've had a back and forth DM conversation with on Facebook through your power content, is different to someone who's been watching your videos, is different to someone who's attended a webinar or workshop or an activation event with you. Right? So there are also different levels of leads. So if you get better at building that relationship with them, you need fewer people. Right? How are you working, moving them into your sales process? How are you, hold on, here we go. This is the right slide. How are you moving into your sales process? So how can you do better activation events, workshops, webinars, trainings, etc., to low ticket workshops, whatever, to get them into a sales call, into an inquiry? How do you get better at the sales calls themselves? And how are you delivering on your offer, and how are you keeping your clients? And what we found, I don't think I've got a slide for this, Michael, but we just had this conversation, so I want to share this very briefly with you guys. There's different levels of this, right? If we're looking at, here's the core things you have to do. Obviously, your pricing and your business model is a huge part of this, of what's the thing you're selling to hit those numbers. But then we're not trying to fix all 5 things at the same time. We're trying to fix what's the biggest bottleneck right now. So you look at this, you look at your 4 Ps of where is your time going, and that's where we start fixing the bottlenecks. If right now, ooh, I'm getting sales calls booked, but they're not qualified. Okay, messaging, lead gen, nurture, and so on. I'm getting sales calls booked, but they're not closing. Okay, it's a sales process. I'm getting people watching my power content, but no one's moving into the next part with me. Right, that might be messaging, that might be the conveyor belt, that might be content. Is this making sense? So the more data you have here, the more you understand this, the more we can analyze and diagnose, and therefore create what is, just Milline's next priority of, for the next 2 weeks, what does she have to do? What's Monica's top priority? What does she have to do? What's the big bottleneck to focus on next? And it's only once you understand this and your numbers. I think that was pretty much it from our side. Any questions, let us know right now. Otherwise, we have obviously tomorrow's coaching call. You can kind of sit with this, digest, and we've got the coaching call tomorrow to go over anything that you need to here as well. Anything else from anyone here, or are we good to wrap up? Okay. Also, the blueprint thingy that you guys are using, Michael built that with AI, and he might show you guys how to do that too if you don't know how to do it for your clients and for your stuff, because I saw it, I was just like, and it works. Okay, Michael, I don't know if you're here or you went to take our photo, but we have some very excited people who want to learn this. So yeah, we'll show you. It was really easy, but you just need to think about things in a certain way. So I'll get Michael to show you guys that too.
Yeah, I can you've got the call tomorrow, so I can spend like a couple of minutes on showing this and how to create some pictures and stuff as well with Gemini. Gemini is my new friend when it comes down to getting stuff done. But
Right.
thank you guys all so much for today. If you've got anything else or on the back of this, either feel free to schedule a call with me. Anything else? I
Nope,
think that's
we're
it
good.
now.
See you
Then
guys
I
tomorrow.
wish you all a beautiful day
Right.
and get cracking.